Okay, we're going to try and add some more graphic elements to the section now. So let's get in a bit closer. So there's quite a lot of things to add, and getting things in the right order is a little bit tricky. We'll see if we can get this to work properly. Now, when we brought the image in for the statue, we've been using the clip frame here. I want to put in a shadow for the statue, so I can't really use the outline that I've got for the clip frame, so we really need another trace of that statue. So let's put this back onto its original layer. So we're changing this back onto 2D clip images and escape. Change your current layer to 2D section medium line, and I'm going to check my object snaps. I only need endpoint just now. Okay, and I'm going to use a polyline to trace around the shape. So I'm carefully looking for every endpoint around the perimeter. So this takes a few seconds, so bear with me. I'm going to leave the video running because it's easier when it comes to editing if I just leave it and don't disturb it. So just taking my time, looking for every change of direction in the pale blue line. Okay, try not to rush things like this because you'll end up doing the work again. Okay, so we'll just go across. So I'm going to go right the way around the shape this time, instead of picking out the holes as we went. Okay, getting down now, getting down to the feet. Okay, carefully around the plinth. And we need to close this because we will be filling it with a hatch pattern very soon. And we also need to create these shapes so that the shadow looks believable. I thought I'd missed a point there, so undo one step. And close. And similarly on this side. Okay, final point and C to close. Okay, so that's going to be my shadow outline. So I'm going to start with the shadows, and let's cast a big shadow across from here to here. Well, actually, I think I will start with the water. Actually, I'm not going to start with the shadows, I'm going to start with the water. Okay, so we'll go to layer 2D water, draw a rectangle, okay, and then we hatch that with a solid fill hatching. So hatch, change from a pattern to solid, select objects, click the rectangle and return. We want that to go behind the lines that are already here. Okay, so we click on the water, we want to change the draw order, so it's DR, return, return again. Okay, there's still an object around the edge, so we get rid of that just now. Okay, so it looks like we've got a blue water in there. Okay, now we'll change to the shadows layer, 2D shadow, and I'll start off by copying these three shapes. Okay, return. Base point can be anywhere, and what we'll do is we'll copy it in this direction by, let's say, 1350 millimeters. So we go at 1350 less than symbol minus 135. Return to finish. Okay, we now need to trim off the bits that would be out of sight. So I'll need intersection on for this. Okay, and if I draw a line from intersection to intersection and trim with that. Okay, similarly up here, this is very close. I'll need to use a polyline here to there, trim off. You might be able to just use a line here from there to there. Ooh, that went to endpoint. I want to go to intersection. Trim. Don't trim just yet, because this will need to be cut in two places. So line and line, and then trim. Trimming with both of these lines. Okay, so we've now got a shape that can be filled with shadow. So it's the same operation. Hatch with a solid pattern. Pick the objects. So there's quite a few objects now. We're just running around the side. And there we have our shadow. Press enter to finish. We want to get rid of this outline. We don't need these anymore. So we can get rid of these lines. And lastly, there. Okay, do you notice that the shadow is obscuring the pink line? We also can't see the lines going across it, which we'd want to do. Okay, so we'll do draw order again. DR, return. Pick the shadow, return, and return again. Now the shadow's gone behind the water. You could say that you wouldn't see the shadow, so you could leave it like that, or we could try and bring it in front of the water. So let's see if we can get that to work. DR, return, pick the shadow, and return. And we want to bring it above the water. So that's fine. That looks okay. So we're behind the lines here, but above the water. Okay, and then the next piece of shadow is a much bigger piece. Okay, the sun will be coming in at 45 degrees and putting this triangle into shadow. So we just need a line from intersection there. We tell it the angle we want to go at. So it's less than symbol, and the angle is minus 135. Return. Okay, I don't know how far to take the line, so I'll just let it extend. Press return to finish. Now what I want to do is draw a polyline around this, which will trap the shading. PL, return, from endpoint to intersection, and we trace around carefully and close. C, return. So that's the shape that's going to receive the hatching. This line's done its job. We now hatch, pick the polyline, and return to finish. Okay, so we'll do this in the same order as last time. We'll send it to the back and then pull it in front of the water. So it's DR, return, pick the shadow, return twice, get rid of the line that's around the side, we don't need that, and then DR, return, pick the shadow, return, bring it above a specific object, which is the water, and return. Okay, so that's looking a bit more interesting, a bit more graphic. Okay, the next object to go in is a marble tile. Okay, so let's change back to the clip images layer, and we want to insert. This time it's attach, like we did with the statue. It's the single green marble panel, and open. we want to control the insertion point and the scale, so click OK, and I'll place the first panel, actually I'll place it here, and the scale will be just by dragging to the next intersection. Okay, I can then mirror this so we get this kind of kaleidoscopic effect. Okay, it looks quite good. Okay, mirror all 6 of them this time using endpoints or intersection, and then mirror the last 3 using endpoints or intersections. Okay, now I want to send these to the back of the image, so it's a bit tricky picking them because some of them will be kind of stuck in the middle. So it might be easier if I turn off all the other layers. Okay, so we use the command called, we type in the layer command instead. So it's -LA return, off return, star, which means any layer name, and return 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can then easily do the draw order command now. dr return. I won't accidentally pick up any other objects. So 1, 2, 3, and then do a crossing on this side. That will get the other 12. Okay, press return, return again to send them to the back. And that means it's kept the statue clip image on top. Let's just make sure that has done that. If we use the image command, we can reload the statue and it's above the green marble, which is okay. Okay, to bring back on all the other layers, we do -LA return, on return, star return twice. Okay, so the grey lines are in front of the marble, so is the shadow. That's what we want to see. Okay, it's not finished yet. We want to fill this with solid colour and then create a wipeout. So let's just copy these two lines downwards. So pick the command was copy, CP, return, pick the 2 objects, return, put ortho on, pick a base point anywhere, and we'll just take it down about this far. It's about 1200 millimeters. Return to finish. So the next layer is going to be the 2D fill layer, and we're going to use a polyline PL, and we're going to trace around what would the bits we want to be solidified. Okay, we have to be a wee bit careful here because we've got this little step in the wall. Come across to this side, get the step again, and then the letter C to close the shape. Okay, hatch that with solid, select objects, pick the polyline you just created, and return to finish. We can send that to the back of the file, dr return, pick the hatching, return twice. Okay, but there's still a boundary object that needs deleted. Okay, so we're still seeing the strength of the pink line on top. That's what we want to try and maintain. Okay, we'll keep these lines just now because we're going to create another object called a wipeout. And I don't have a layer for the wipeout, so I'm going to create a new layer. Okay, we'll call it wipeout. I'll use lowercase. make it current, close this. Okay, the wipeout is a special type of object. It's basically a mask. It will hide everything that's behind it. So the command is wipeout. So it's slightly different shape than we used for the solid fill hatching. Okay, it behaves a bit like the image clip boundary. Okay, this is my last point, so I press enter now, and effectively everything's hidden because everything's behind the wipeout. So what we'll do is we'll send the wipeout to the back of the drawing. So it's dr, return, pick the wipeout, return twice. Okay, so the wipeout's there, it just doesn't have anything else behind it yet. Okay, these lines have done their job, they can now be deleted. Okay, we're going to bring in some symbols now for people and trees. Let's start with the trees. 2D symbols, trees. I want to insert. I want to choose from outside the file, so I go for more options, browse, and I've got tree elevation 07 and open. I want to choose the insertion point, but I want the scale and rotation to stay as they are. Okay, so we've got a pretty big tree object here. Let's add the nearest object snap, and this lets you pick a position anywhere on anything. It's a good object snap, can be a bit crazy. Okay, so place that tree. Notice the branches are overlapping. Okay, when we send them to the back, they'll go behind the wipeout and should be obscured. So insert, we're looking outside the file again, this time tree 24, and open, and OK. Let's just place the tree here and then we'll move it to the side. So we'll place the tree and then move, M, return, pick the tree and return, orthos on so we can slide the tree sideways. Pick a base point, drag the tree sideways, roughly to here will do. And let's have a copy of this tree. So CP, return, pick the tree and return. Base point can be anywhere. And we'll have our tree just sitting tidily there. Okay, so we use the draw order command now to send these two trees to the back of the file. May as well send all three. So it's dr, return, pick the three trees and return twice. So they've gone behind the wipeout, which means it clips the edges of the trees away. Okay, last thing to add are the people. So let's change back to a different layer. Let's go for 2D symbols, people, and insert. We'll browse outside the file, people 32, and open, and OK. So this is a gentleman looking at his watch or a phone. Okay, we'll add some more people. Just press return to bring back the command. Browse, people 33, a lady walking around. Press return, browse, people 34. We've got father and child. Put them nearby. And lastly, people 35. And we'll place this chap over at this side. Okay, everything seems to be looking okay. The only thing I'm noticing here is the blue line that we've got there. I wouldn't really want that to show up. So that's an image frame. Okay, so we can switch those off. Type image frame and return, and change it to 0 and return. Okay, if we didn't want a strong line around the statue, we could put this shape onto a layer that we're not needing. But I'll leave it on because it gives it a bit more definition. Okay, so that's a pretty tricky setup, adding all those graphics in. But we've got lots of control there. We can make it look Spartan and very plain, or rich and architectural, as we've got there. Okay, on layout 1 we've got our plan. Okay, let's delete layout 2. Okay, and copy layout 1 to the side, so we don't have to create another viewport, and the page setup will be the same. Okay, so we'll move our copy, we'll move it to the end and create a copy. Okay, having these as just named layout 1, layout 2 isn't very helpful. So layout 1, we could right click it and rename it and call this plan. And if I remember rightly, the scale was 121 to 125. So let's call that plan 125. Okay, layout 2 isn't showing the correct view yet. The section is kind of somewhere over here. So we go into layout 2. Okay, we can see the sections over here. So we need to set the coordinate system to be in line with the section line again. So you can remember what that was? It was UCS return. We use the object setting, click near the end of this line, and then do plan and return twice. Okay, so that it rotates the view, it doesn't rotate the objects. Okay, and we can now experiment with scale. So let's see what's going to work here. Let's see what 1 to 50 looks like. That's absolutely spot on. I think we're not going to get much better than that. Okay, so 1 to 50 is fitting perfectly on that A3 piece of paper. Double click outside. Okay, all the page setup is just as it was before, so we don't need to revisit that. I can rename this now, and I'll call this section 50 because it's at 1 to 50. If I right click it and do a plot preview, we can see we've got all the definition we need. Okay, the shadows there are a bit strong. Perhaps we should use a lighter grey for that, because they are